None of our goals and aspirations can ever get accomplished if we never take action. And without these principles and understanding the importance of taking action, we'll just be forever talking about the things that we want, or who the person that we want to become. Without the intention behind it, without the courage or just the ability to do things without worrying about what people are going to think or say about you, is always going to hold you back. It's always going to be a crutch. It's always going to be a crutch. So when we think about doing things unapologetically and understanding that you're unique and that there's no two people who are made identical, right? Maybe physically, but mentally there's always something different. And when we talk about the understanding of, getting to the next level, or how do you want to transcend and put yourself in a position to where you're not the same person you were yesterday, last month, or last year, it always comes down to actually doing the work. And it's so easy I promise you, it's so easy to say, but it's like when we come to these barriers or these days when we don't feel like doing it, it's like you have to be non-negotiable with yourself, right? It's almost like you made a deal. Not almost, it's like you made a deal with yourself. It's like, if you say you're going to do something, just do it, regardless of how you're feeling that day, all these other circumstances that affect you. It's like, for one, you have to be able to trust yourself. So that means when you say you're going to do something, you have to do it. Or you're overall just breaking your confidence within yourself, because you know that you're not a person that holds your word, because you can't even hold the word to yourself. So understanding that's the very first step of like actually doing anything. And that leads me to my next point, because I was reading up on this thing that Theodore Roosevelt was talking about in his speech. And it essentially was just the theory of the man in the arena. And who the man in the arena is, there's two different perspectives to it. So there's the masses who are, right, hundreds if not thousands of people who are watching maybe one or a few people on a stage, in an arena, on a court, on a field, all of these different things that are just applicable, right? Because back in the day, they would have these gladiator fights, right? I'm a huge fan of Gladiator. That's like my favorite movie. And they would have these brawls or these fights or these battles, and thousands of people would watch, right? But if we actually took like a step back and realized the life circumstances of all the people who are watching, it's like a lot of these people are like poor. A lot of these people aren't living in good conditions. A lot of these people are disadvantaged, you know what I'm saying? But they still find a way to find entertainment out of all things in life, which is great to a degree, because what is life if you're not happy? But at the same time, it's like you're sacrificing short-term gratification or happiness, when in reality you have a long-term effect of just things not going your way. You know what I'm saying? So on the flip side, the person who's in the arena, right, male or female, we have to realize that we have the opportunity to use our platforms appropriately, right? Not for self-righteousness, but to actually make sure that we're following our purpose, and being a vessel to inspire and evoke change with others. It's not just about being famous and everybody knows me on Instagram, or you know what I'm saying, like, or it's just for the money, because all those things are superficial, right? Like, these are none of these things are accolades we can take with us when we die. It's really just going to be how did people view us at the end of everything, because we're only in this existence for so long, right? We have a unique time that we're alive in the universe. This one moment in time is basically where we are. We're just a dot in time. And the biggest influence that you can have is ultimately impacting others, which is great, because maybe being a great singer or a great athlete is a byproduct of you impacting other people, right? But not the other way around. Because I think as athletes, we lose ourselves in our identity of our sport, but that's a completely another video. But understanding that theory and those two different perspectives, because a lot of times we don't even realize, but a lot of us are the masses that's in the stands watching others. A lot of us aren't taking that action, because the people who are either on the field, the court, the stage, all of these things, they took time to put themselves out there, right? without the fear of criticism, without the fear of being told they're not good enough. Not to say that they didn't have those fears at one point, but eventually, the more you do something, the more you're able to grow out of it and become more comfortable, right? It's like my first time shooting a video or talking into a camera is like super uncomfortable, but the more you do it, the more comfortable you get at it, right? So it's like either day one or one day. So it's like, if you're just gonna keep talking about the dream that you wanna have, there's always gonna be someone out there that's gonna take that action, and they might be less qualified than you, but they'll have those positions, they'll have that notoriety, you know what I'm saying, that ultimately you might deserve. And that's only up to you, right? Because there's no motivational video, there's none of these other things that can get you up and put you in position other than yourself, you know? So understanding that theory, I think, because if those are the only two options in life on how you could live, I think personally I would always choose the man in the arena, right? Because I would rather be someone who's against the grain, someone who's an outlier, and all of those things that relate to that, because that's something that's unique, you know, that's something that's not falling in and being average or a low standard of living, you know what I'm saying? So I would just think that would be something a little more prominent in my thought process on how I would want to live. So ultimately you have to think like, are you the man in the arena, or are you just someone who's watching someone?